friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Sam back here with another video. I'm so sorry I've been absent from the channel for a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks probably. I've not been having a really good time and I've had a few mental health issues, sadly, so I needed to take a little bit of a break, so I hope you don't mind, and I'm really grateful to everyone for sticking with me. As you know, my channel is pretty much about crafting in general, mainly jewellery making, but also I advocate for mental health, particularly in women of a certain age group. I think I'm suffering from a little bit of what they call, sort of menopausal burnout, I think. So if you're not interested in that kind of thing, that's fine. Scroll ahead, you can get to the video of the little tutorial that I'm going to bring you. But first, I thought I would let you in on what I've been doing. I've got my coffee. I hope you've got your coffee, or indeed whatever beverage you like at whatever time of day it is, actually. So I thought I would show you a couple of things actually to start with before we head into making these pretty bracelets. Aren't they cute? Came up with this whilst I've been crafting. But before we do that, I thought I'd just show you a couple of things that have brought me some huge joy this week. And last week, actually. I've been learning how to do something called sashiko, which is like a Japanese artistic and functional stitching design type style. Look into it, it's fascinating and absolutely beautiful. So I've been doing a few little bits and pieces. So I made this little pin cushion with all of these incredibly beautiful stitches. I got this pattern from a channel called The Green Wrapper here on YouTube. She's just incredibly talented and wonderful. So I made that, and I also made this little pin cushion. Now unfortunately I can't pronounce this channel's name, but I will leave a description down in the description box, a link to their channel as well. It's only right to give the channel a shout out because it's actually their pattern. But how beautiful is that? Little cute little squishy pin cushion. So I do try and do some slow stitch, and I've been learning how to quilt and things like that. But isn't that cute? I really like these two little cute things. So they've brought me some joy this week. Also, I don't know about you, but I do like to look in the charity shops, or the Goodwill stores as you call them in America and various other places, and I bought this gorgeous little vintage necklace. Isn't it beautiful? For I think £1.50, which, you know, what's not to love? It's pretty and it's sparkly, and it brought me some joy. So my son said it was gaudy. What does he know? Honestly, but I don't think it's gaudy, do you? I think it's really pretty and completely intact. So that brought me some joy as well this week. I'll just pop that there. And actually, finally, I must show you this. This is bringing me some joy this week. Let me just reach and get it. I'm doing a test knit for a very beautiful and very talented knitting designer, Ro and Cades. So I will put her link to her channel if you're interested. I don't know if you guys do any knitting as well, but we're doing a test knit at the moment. And this is a top-down tee, it's called. Can't fit the whole thing in, but I'm hoofing my way along. Just get into the body now. I've done the yoke. Absolutely gorgeous pattern. Athenaeum, it's called. And this is bringing me some absolute joy and some solace and a way of relaxing this week. So this is the yoke across the chest. Isn't it beautiful? Absolutely gorgeous. So they're my joyful things this week. Let me know what's brought you some joy this week, guys. It'd be really nice to hear from you. But let's get on to the jewellery. So let me bring my little mat in. Let me just adjust the camera slightly. There we go, that's a bit better. So this week I have been making a few bits and pieces, and I was messing around, with the cotter pin design. You've made. I've done a tutorial a while back on a cotter pin bracelet with beads in, and I'll pop that up here if you're interested in having a look at that. But I thought I would, fuse a couple of styles together. So I came up with a cotter pin and Egyptian coil fusion, if you want to call it a fusion. Isn't that cute? I'll just put this on my wrist so you can see what it looks like on the wrist. So bear with me for a second. There we go. So there it is on the wrist. How beautiful do you think that looks? It's gorgeous, isn't it? So I'm just going to be going basically through how I came up with this week. And you can make them, these little links, make them into little earrings as well. Or like I'm doing here, little double earrings, which I'm going to attach a little bead on the end. But I think they're really, really pretty, don't you think? They're pretty, aren't they? Wear two at once if you wanted to. So let's go ahead and have a look at how to make these. So I'll come back in a second and we'll do a list of materials. So I'll see you in a few. And here we are with our blue surface. So let's get going. I'll show you literally the basic things that you're going to need to make this really cute bracelet. Okay, I'll show you the anatomy of it in a second. So you're literally going to need, if you're going to use bare copper wire, I use bare copper in dead soft, and it's a 1mm, that's 18 gauge copper wire, or you can use the silver plated equivalent, which is what this is made out of. Now obviously you're going to be doing a little bit of hammering, so if you choose to use a silver plated, make sure that you trust the silver plating on it. I do, because I get mine from a really good company and they're extremely good quality. So wire, there we go. You're also going to need some pliers, so just bring out your favorite pliers. I have, you know, various pliers that I have collected over the years, and some snippers, some snips. I think I was asked about these before. These are Knipex, and that's the number on them, I think. Yeah, and they cut up to 1.6 copper and 1.2mm in iron, I think that is. Anyway, Knipex they are, so anybody wanted to know. I'm also going to be using my 6-step bell making plier now. For reference, mine is a 2 to 9mm increment, but if you have a 3 to 10, you can make this design. It would just be ever so slightly bigger. All right, so don't worry about the size of your pliers too much, but I will be using specific mandrels on mine. Okay, what else do we need? We need a basic, where is it? A basic hammer and block, because we're going to be doing some hammering, which is great if you've not been having a good week and you need to take a little bit of frustration out on something that's not your husband or, you know, your partner or whatever. You're going to need a ruler just to measure out some basic lengths. And I think that is it. Although if you're going to be making the earrings to go with, if you like a matching set, which sometimes I do, you're just going to need some little beads and an ear wire. Okay, so I'll clear the table and we'll get going and have some fun, which is sorely needed at the moment in this world, I think. Okie dokie, we are back, and I'm going to just quickly, very briefly, you know, show you how I make these. I won't make it an exhaustive video. So you're going to need, well, shall we flush cut the end? You don't really need to. Actually, you don't need to, I don't think, because there is a bit to trim off. So each one of these takes 10 centimetres, just under 4 inches of wire. So I'll just cut a couple, because I'll just go through it twice. Don't forget, my channel is me, an amateur, sitting in my beautiful conservatory, just coming up and faffing with wire and beads and things like that. So I'm not an expert, I keep saying this, but it's true. But my channel is geared towards beginners like me. just so we can be beginners together. Right, 10 centimetres. And obviously, I like to have a chat. So let's have a chat whilst we are at it. Now then, so I come in with my plier. So like I said, 2 to 9 increments. Each one of these little guys measures, just so you know, we'll just make it around about 1¼ centimetres, around about ½ inch, just short of ½ inch for that. for each one of the little units. As you can see underneath, it's got this beautiful sort of dragon scale type effect, which actually sits very beautifully on your wrist. It's extremely comfortable to wear. So I hope you enjoy making this. So let's go for it. So for each one of the links, you come in with the largest mandrel on your plier, which for me is 9mm. So I put it pretty much in the center as far as you can, like so, and bend so that they cross in the middle, like so. So when I'm doing this, I make a production line. So this, what I'm doing, you know, I've had to do it 17 times for my bracelet. You know, so just work out for yourself how many you need. So essentially you just cross it over like so. So you have this component here, and then do, you know, however many you need, bend it round, cross it over like so, like so. So you have, I don't know, 15, 12, 17, whatever, however many you need, all right? Then you come in with your chain nose plier. This little section here, we're essentially making a cotter pin. I think we've made these before. So if you see where the wires cross in the middle, you want to bring your pliers just to one side of where they meet, hold the circle and put an angle on it like so. Okay, turn it over. Again, put your pliers just below this wire and do the same thing, like so. Oh, and if you do what I've just done, just move your wires around a little bit. Nothing is perfect in this world. There we go. So this is what we're left with. We have sort of a cotter pin, essentially, you know, this sort of pin shape. All right, so do that with all of them if you want to. I mean, you know, I do a production line, I think mainly because you get, you know, consistent shapes and sizes and things like that. So you just go ahead and make a production line if you like. The next thing that we do is bringing your ruler back in. Now, obviously, I am European, so I do use centimetres. So I hope you guys that use inches don't mind, but this is done in centimetres today. So I put the edge of the pin at the end of the ruler, where the circle ends, and I measure 3 centimetres. Now, these measurements are obviously given because I use a 2 to 9mm increment plier. And then you just chop. So each one of, where's my little bowl? No, can't find it, never mind. Each one of these needs to be 3 centimetres from where the circle ends. So if you've done one, just come in, line everything up, and, you know, just chop all of them. So you have this. Right, so this is where we bring in our block. So I'm just going to put my pad down here. This probably will be a little noisy. If I can be bothered, I'll stick some music over the top. If I can't be bothered, then just put the volume down for a second. So we're just going to be hammering the loop. And then I just turn it. Like so. So we'll do the next one. Okay, you will be needing the hammer and block again, so, you know, don't put it away at this particular juncture. So, you know, do all of your links as you were, you know, however many you need. Now then, I will do this next part with my round nose plier, mainly because it's easier than getting that in between your wires kind of a thing, you know. So I'm just going to use the round nose plier for this one. So just move these out of the way, split this slightly and pop the tip, nearly the tip of your plier, and you want to make the beginnings of a spiral. Doesn't have to be completely neat and tidy. I quite like the organic shapes that come with not being hugely neat and tidy. So this is what we have. We've got this sort of spiral thing starting. Come in with your flat, you've got a flat nose plier, or indeed a plier with a wide base. And what we want to be doing is very gently making these spirals come down a little bit like so. Now don't worry about marring your wire at this stage, because we are going to be hammering these little shapes a little bit. So make sure that they are level at the top. So it looks a little bit like that at the moment, like so, so that the ends of the wire just start to point inwards like so. Okay, so the measurements that I've given you, you can make these bigger if you wanted to. However, you know, as I've made it, that these little spirals will sit on top of the hoop, on top of the circle. All right, so come back in with your hammer and your block, and we're not going to hammer the long straight bits in the middle. We're just going to concentrate on these little spirals. Turn it over. And there we go. So we'll get that out of the way for now. And this is what we have. All right, so this is the shape that we have. Now we're going to be bending. I choose to use the smallest mandrel on my plier for this, and I suggest you do the same, because if you use a round nose, you can, because it's smaller at one end and wider at another, you can get it so it skews a little bit. So if it was me, I would use a straight mandrel on a plier like such as this. Place the mandrel literally just where the circle starts. You can see there underneath. Okay, and then take these two and squeeze straight. Squeeze them, you know, together like so. And when you get to a certain point, put your plier in here so that you can see what you're doing, and squish like so, so that this spiral sits on top of the hoop, the loop, like so. And this is what it looks like. All right, so I'll just make one more of those, and I'll show you how to attach them. So here's our cotter pin that we've made. You know, we've made quite a few of these. You want to take your first unit. Your first unit will be complete, obviously. And then the next unit, pop it on so that it sits like so, and so it's hanging off that cotter pin there. All right. This is relatively easy to do. It doesn't get in the way. You just do exactly the same thing, but with things dangling off the end, if you will. So open, like so, and gently start to make your spiral. Again, I'm not concerned with it being completely neat and tidy. If that's what you want, then go for it. Then come in with your plier again and just start to make a spiral. Flip it back and forth, so I find that easier. And then keep going with both sides until those two are straight at the top, and these two just start to point inwards a little bit. Come in with you hammer again. And literally just very gently, just hammer the two little spirals like so. If one of them doesn't look quite right, which it doesn't on that one, just come in with your plier and just very gently, there we go, make it so it matches. So we have this, okay? So because we want these to come over this way, turn it upside down. So I class this as the back side, the one with the hoop showing. That's the front side. So turn it over to the back side and come in with the same plier, like so. Pop it just where the loop starts, like so. And again, just start to bend until you're happy. This dangly bit doesn't get in the way, so don't worry. And when you've done that, controlled, bend, reset your pliers on top, and just use your fingers, which are great tools, I think, don't you? There we are. So that's the second one on. How does that look? Just do one more. Come in with your pin, pop it through this side here, not the loop side, this side with the double. Pop that on, yeah. Bring your pliers in, make a spiral, or the beginnings of one on both sides, like so. Come in with your flat pliers and start to make a spiral on either side. Beauty of these is they don't have to be, you know, hugely neat. The organic is good. So just as they just start to point inwards, flat there, that's great. Come in with this. Doesn't take an awful lot of hammering, which is good. All right, so this is what it looks like. And again, the reason why we don't hammer these straight pieces of wire is that when you hammer things, when you hammer wire, it hardens it. And unless you go into the realms of annealing and using torches and that kind of thing, which a lot of people don't when they're beginning, it's best to keep this wire unhardened because you can bend it nicely. All right, so keep the lengths there unbashed. So bash this bit, bash these, but leave these unbashed. Okay, pop your plier in so that the smallest is at the bottom. Nope, done that wrong. Turn it to the back side, Sammy. There we go. That's it. And then bend gently. Gently. Come in with your fingers, your thumbs. Bend together, bend downwards. That's it. And then squish things together with your fingers if you need to. If that splays out a little bit, just come in with your pliers very gently. And that, my friends, is how you make the links to these absolutely beautiful bracelets, or earrings, to be fair. I've attached 3 little turquoisey beads with an ear wire for a matching. So you can have 2 for earrings, which I'm making from these. You just literally attach a little jump ring and a bead off. If you wanted to, you could make one just like that with 3 with beads on, that kind of thing. Aren't they gorgeous? So I hope you have a lot of fun making those, and I hope you've enjoyed having a look at the things that's brought me some joy this week, for this past couple of weeks when life's been a little bit trying, I have to say. So I'll see you in my next video, hopefully, which won't be too long. Getting a little bit more back to normal now. So much love to everyone, and I'll see you in my next video.